Carlo Ancelotti, one of the most decorated managers in the history of football, one of the only three managers to have 3 European caps against his name, and of course he also had a number of accolades against his name as a player as well. As a player, he won 3 Sirea A league titles, 2 with Milan, 1 with Roma, and the Italian also enjoyed 2 European Cup triumphs with the Rossoneri, so surely Ancelotti was a player who was much cherished by the Italian fan base. However, injury woes cut short the football career of Carlo Ancelotti. In 1992, he hung up his boots, taking retirement at a very early age of 32, but his love for the game was huge, and what happened was that Ancelotti went from being a main man on the pitch to a man who would orchestrate from the sidelines. And in today's video, that is going to be our main focus. We would be turning back the history books. We'll see the ups and downs of the managerial career of Carlo Ancelotti. He had his good days, he had some bad days, and Madridistas, let's have a look at what made Ancelotti the football legend he is today. So let's get started. And to begin with, Carlo Ancelotti studied football management and coaching in Florence, and after completion, he became the assistant coach of the Italian national team in 1994 under the tutelage of former Milan coach Arrigo Sacchi. The Italian team reached the final, but the Azzurris had to suffer defeat after the famous penalty miss of Roberto Baggio. Ancelotti then continued his journey as he became the manager of Reggiana, who were a side in the second division in Italy, and Ancelotti was successful in getting the side promoted to Sirea A. He then moved to Parma, where he had started his journey as a player 2 decades ago. He took over from the immensely popular coach Nevio Scala, and at Parma, Ancelotti had the luxury of managing some incredible young talent, which included Gianluigi Buffon, Marcus Thuram, Hernan Crespo, and Fabio Cannavaro. In his first season, he guided the club to a record 2nd place finish in the league, and in the process, obtained Champions League qualification. His second year with Parma, however, was a bit disappointing. They finished 2nd in the league, but here Ancelotti received a lot of criticism as he had turned down the chance of signing one of the most decorated players in Italian football. He had vetoed the move for Roberto Baggio before the start of his 2nd season at Parma, and the rationale behind that was that Ancelotti did not want to change his system to accommodate Baggio. He didn't want to change his tactics, he was rigid with his footballing philosophies, and that turned out to be a big blunder. Ancelotti was a believer that the 4-4-2 was the perfect formation at that point of time, and a creative forward in Baggio was disrupt his style of play, so the defensive approach of Ancelotti attracted a lot of criticism, and Carlo Ancelotti would later describe the veto as a very big mistake. But moving forward, Ancelotti then joined Juventus. He was again under massive pressure to deliver, because firstly, he was succeeding the legendary coach Marcello Lippi. Lippi at that point of time was considered one of the best coaches in the world, and secondly, Juventus had made it to the UCL final 3 times in the past 4 years, and Ancelotti had the task of taking Juventus over the line. And coming to the tactics of Juventus, we saw Ancelotti was more flexible as a manager. He gave up his favorite 4-4-2 to get the best out of Zinedine Zidane. The Italian recently spoke about how the greatness of Zinedine Zidane made him rethink his ideas about football. He said, "With Zidane, I tried to change my ideas about the system. Zidane is the first player who gave me the possibility to change the system and play in a different way. So when I had Zidane in the first year at Juventus, I played with a system of 3-4-1-2, having Del Piero and Inzaghi up front, and Zidane a little bit behind. The second year, I played with the back 4, but keeping 2 strikers in front and 1 number 10 like Zinedine Zidane." He further added, "Zinedine Zidane changed my ideas about football. I was so focused before Juventus on 4-4-2, and after with Zidane I changed. I wanted to put him in the best position for him to let him be more comfortable on the pitch." So from those words, it is quite clear that Zinedine Zidane altered the footballing ideologies of Carlo Ancelotti. He made Ancelotti rethink his approach, but unfortunately for Ancelotti and Juventus, that was not enough to attain glory. He failed to win any major trophy during his 2 years with the old lady, and he could only manage a 2nd place finish in the league, which saw him get fired after a trophyless season. But moving on, Ancelotti then went on to manage AC Milan, where he was fondly remembered as Carletto, and here Ancelotti spent a long part of his managerial career. In 9 years, he oversaw 423 matches with 238 wins, 101 draws, and 84 losses with a healthy win percentage of 56.2, and this is where Ancelotti started announcing himself as a world-class manager. There's nothing better than titles to grab the attention of the football world, and that is exactly what AC Milan and Ancelotti managed to do, but it would be wrong to say that AC Milan had a smooth journey to begin with. Ancelotti joined Milan in the November of 2001 after Fatih Terim was sacked on the back of poor performances. Milan were trophyless since 1999 and were languishing mid-table when Ancelotti was appointed. He rejuvenated the squad and eventually managed a 4th place finish, qualifying for the Champions League. But nevertheless, it was another trophyless season for Milan. The board and the fans were breathing at the neck of Carlo Ancelotti for the kind of defensive football which was on show, and this again forced Ancelotti to rethink his approach. In the following season, he made wholesale changes. He introduced Dida in the starting 11 and made Dida his mainstay in goal. When the move of Andrea Pirlo from the attacking midfield position to the role of a deep-lying playmaker made an immense impact. It was one of the career-defining shifts for the midfield maestro, and he was made to operate behind the attacking midfielders in either Rivaldo or Rui Costa in a 4-3-1-2 or in a 4-1-2-1-2 formation. AC Milan also had the dynamic strikers in Zinchenko and Inzaghi, and with fluidity returning with the changing tactics, Milan went on a dominant run, clinching the Champions League against Juventus and the Coppa Italia against Roma. The Champions League victory was definitely more satisfying as he won it against the same club who had sacked him a few years ago. Then came the summer of 2003. Ancelotti strengthened his side by adding a very promising playmaker in Kaká, but this was another season which was built around a very strong defense. Cafu was introduced to the starting 11, and the back four of Cafu, Costa Curta, Nesta and Maldini, along with Dida in goal, formed a strong setup which was almost impregnable, and this saw Milan take home the Scudetto in 2004. They also got the title in style, winning it with a record 82 points in 34 games. The following 2 years were not as successful as the Rossoneri would have hoped. They finished second in the league in both the seasons, when the 2005 Champions League final felt like a dagger in the heart. Carlo Ancelotti was a part of probably the greatest Champions League final of all time, but Milan happened to be on the receiving end in the final. In front of his own eyes, Ancelotti saw his side concede a 3-goal lead in the final. Maldini, Crespo, Inzaghi, all were left shell-shocked. Milan went on to lose on penalties, but this left Ancelotti even more motivated to reach the pinnacle once again. He vowed that he was going to get back the glorious days. However, it was not going to be an easy task. The Calciopoli match-fixing scandal sent shockwaves in Italy, and clubs like AC Milan, Reggiana and Lazio were severely punished, with Juventus being relegated to the second division. But in these adverse times, Ancelotti again started building his team. In 2006, Ancelotti started using the 4-3-2-1 formation, more famously known as the Christmas tree formation. He used Inzaghi as a sole striker who was supported by the attacking midfielders Kaká and Seedorf. Andrea Pirlo was at the heart of a 3-man defensive midfield. Gattuso and Ambrosini shielded the defense, and the star-studded backline did its job as well. But this year was truly remembered as the year of Ricardo Kaká. Ancelotti had learned his lessons from the previous failure. He also had the experience of using Zidane in the attacking midfield role, and keeping all that in mind, he gave Ricardo Kaká the liberty to express himself on the pitch. The decision to bring Kaká in was a very fruitful one for Milan. He was the driving force in the 2006-07 season, helping them win the Champions League, and on an individual front, he won the Ballon d'Or and secured a move to Real Madrid down the lane. But coming back to Ancelotti, the Christmas tree formation was a work of genius for Ancelotti. Even though Ancelotti had Inzaghi, who was not the perfect striker, but he used the rest of the resources in the side. He used the flamboyant midfielder Kaká, got the best out of the other players in the side, and definitely for this, Ancelotti is remembered with great fondness amongst the Milan faithful. Ancelotti finally decided to end his stint with the Rossoneri in 2009. Many players and fans were in tears when his contract was terminated with mutual consent, but then Don Carlo set his eyes towards a new challenge which awaited him in the Premier League. And we will be discussing the rest of the managerial career and his tactical approaches in the subsequent part of the series. We'll talk about his stint in Chelsea, PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Napoli, and finally Everton. There's a lot to know and a lot to learn from the past, and before the season starts, Madridistas, I will let you know exactly what Ancelotti brings with all the years of coaching. So stay tuned to my channel. I'll see you soon. Till then, take care, stay safe, and have a good day.